Hi, and welcome to See Watch Horn Arts. My name is Colleen, and you are watching this video, either because you bought a pottery kit from me, or maybe it's your first time potter and you are just looking for some tips on how to begin. You are in the right place. So for those of you that are watching because you bought my kit, just quickly do a run through of what you're gonna get. So first thing I want you to grab is, you're gonna grab a canvas. This is an old recycled canvas. This is what I love to do all my rolling and working on. The pottery doesn't stick, so it's a perfect surface. I do want this back. Next, what you're gonna get in your handy dandy bag of treats is you're gonna get some kind of a rolling pin. They look a little different, but you're gonna get a rolling pin, popsicle stick, you're gonna get a debit card or credit card. It is empty, I promise. You're gonna get a needle tool or a sharp tool. Please be careful if your children are using this. They are very sharp, they can poke themselves. Some kind of an orange wood stick and a bit of a straw. Thank you. a little bit of a straw in case you need to poke holes in something. I don't need this back. You're also going to get a good amount of clay. It's going to be about this size. It's enough to create at least a couple of good sized items. What the clay you're not using, so let's say you're going to start with half your clay, put it back in the bag. It does tend to dry out fairly quickly, so put it back in the bag like this, just to keep it from drying. Now, I'm not going to show you all the different things you can make because I want you to have fun and use your imagination, but I am going to talk to you about some of the rules, some of the important rules when you're working with clay. It's a really easy medium, it's a fun medium, but there are a couple of important things to do and to remember to do. So, number one, if you're going to roll out your clay, it's a good idea to kind of flatten it a little bit first. Otherwise, you'll probably be sitting here rolling forever. Flatten it a little bit and then always roll out to the edges like this. Otherwise, it can roll back up on you. So you don't want that to happen. I like to pick it up, flip it over. Now you can see my clay is a little bit dry because I've been, this is not take one, I'll tell you that. So my clay is a little bit dry. Now this is about as thin as you want to make it. You would not want to make it any thinner than this, especially if you're making like a plate or a stepping stone or a plaque of some kind. It just gets very weak. So this would be about as thick as you're going to want it, okay? What you're going to do next is you're going to make sure that you smooth both sides. So this is where your credit card comes in. You dip it in the water and you're just going to nicely smooth this out. It does two things. One, it makes it stronger. And two, it brings any air bubbles in the clay up to the surface and you can kind of pop them. So you're going to want to smooth this both sides. You never want to see puddles on your clay. If you see puddles, it's too wet. You don't want it to get all slushy. So we're just going to go like this, both sides. There's a really good example of an air bubble. And I can probably just work it out with my card there. If not, I can just pop it and then just cover it up. So once you have it rolled out, this is a great time to use your orange wood stick and carve your initials in the back. Let's say this will be the back. Very important step because most people forget that part. Please make sure every piece you make has your initials on it or your full name because I will not be able to know whose is whose, all right? So please make sure you do that. So just a quick example, let's say you want to have a design. You can carve designs with your orange wood stick, but you can also use things around the house. Material, burlap is fun, lace is really fun. You'll be surprised at what you kind of got kicking around the house that makes a really cool design and pattern. I'll just demonstrate with the doily here. I'll just throw it on. You're just going to lay it out nice and even, and then you'll take your rolling pin and just go back and forth till it settles in there. There you go. You don't want to push too hard, but just hard enough that it settles. And there you go. You've got a beautiful design, really simple. Now let's say you want to turn this into maybe a Christmas ornament. So you can get a cookie cutter, cut it out. You can use any shape you want. Carefully push it out. Now this part's really important. You're gonna take your sponge, you give it a look, get it wet, wring it out. Don't have this drippy wet. Remember, too much water is not a good thing. And then you're gonna just smooth your edges like this. Very important step for finishing. Get it nice and smooth. You can even round the edges off a little. Now, once you've got your edges smooth, if this is an ornament, don't forget to use your straw and poke a hole, because I cannot do that later. So if anything needs a hole in it, make sure you use your straw now. There you go. So I've got my initial design, smooth. That piece is finished. Put it to the side. Now another thing, and here I'll give you another idea, is pinch pots. Now pinch pots are really good starter, just fun for starting, fun for learning clay. You can do a lot of neat things with it. So I'm just gonna real quickly make a pinch pot. Now this is probably a little too much clay for a pinch pot, but we'll just go with it. So I'm gonna roll it out a little bit like this. There we go. So I've got a nice shape. I'm gonna stick my thumb right in the middle like that, and I'm gonna slowly start pinching around until I can get 2 thumbs in there. I like the 2 thumb method better. And you're gonna dip in there, and you wanna get it fairly even. My camera girl's laughing. You wanna get it fairly even. You don't want like one side to be super thick, one side to be super thin. The other thing is you wanna make sure that the base is not thicker than 1 inch. It very likely will crack in the kiln if it is, or it'll take forever to dry. So you wanna make sure that you really get your thumb and fingers around here. It can get quite a bit bigger as you go. This could be like a nice little succulent pot, something like that. Now with pinch pots, they can look a little bit rough. So again, this is where your sponge comes in. You can really, really take your time, smooth everything out, make it look really nice and professional. The other thing I like about pinch pots is you can turn them into maybe an animal. So you could turn it to the side like that, and you can reform it. And then, this is my favorite part, you can decide what kind of animal you want to make it. So this is where we are going to just quickly talk about scoring and slipping. So if you're going to connect 2 pieces together for any reason, so in this situation, just show you an example. By the way, this one I rolled out flat and just cut squares, and then I scored each connection. Okay, that's how this stays together. If you want to have these things connecting, so let's say I want ears on this guy. I'm going to tear this apart. You're going to take your piece, form your piece, whatever you want. Let's say you want to make an ear. Make your ear. There we go. Guess he's going to be a cat. You're going to take your needle tool. This is very important. You're going to scratch. It's called scoring. 2 ways. Rough it up. Okay, like that. And then wherever you're connecting it on here, you're going to do the same thing. So you're kind of making it like Velcro. There. Then you're going to dip your finger, put a little bit of water on there, put a little bit of water on here, and give it a good, healthy squeeze. There we go. Really connect these together. Okay. Those should form a really nice tight bond. If you forget, let's say you make an eye, you roll it, you slap it on like this, 100% that's going to fall off. It will not stay on. It will fall off, and that's just the unfortunate part of pottery. See, it'll just pop right off. So make sure everything you do, you score, and you put a little bit of water and give it a good amount of pressure. All right. So there's just a couple of ideas. I just wanted to quickly throw a couple more ideas out there for you. I want you to have fun and make your own thing. So something like this. Now you might not be getting enough clay to do a full bowl. You might. I'm not sure because you're getting this much. But what I like to use is, I like to use molds. So this one here is actually what we used for this. You can actually tell. Now if you're gonna do this is called a hump mold. If you're gonna do this, it can crack when it's drying. So for beginners, I would recommend using, it's called a slump mold, where it goes inside. Because clay shrinks when it dries. So if you're on top of something and it has no give, it'll crack. So if you want to use this here was, actually that fits perfectly. So that's where I would have plunked it in there. So if you have bowls around and stuff, you can use that, completely use that. If you have plates, I especially like to use like plastic plates or paper plates. You can actually lay it out and even drop it so it sets right in there. It's actually really fun to do. You could put designs on there. You could trim your edges. So this would be fun. Now the only thing I would do recommend is putting a piece of paper towel in there, or putting a piece of paper towel over this first, because sometimes the clay sticks to the surface and then it cracks as it's drying again. So it won't stick to the paper towel. It'll shrink with it. So that I do recommend. Do I need to give you more ideas? I feel like you've got a lot of ideas for the amount of clay that I'm giving you. I hope you have fun. That's the main thing. Don't let your clay dry out. You want to make sure you keep that in the bag until you've used it all up. Make as many things as you want. And when you're done, they need about 3 to 4 days to dry enough that you can bring them back. And I want you to bring them here. Once I have them all here, I'm going to take them in. We're going to get them fired. And then you get to decide on your glaze colors and get to take them back home, glaze them, and then we're going to fire them one more time. So they're going to be good and strong, and they're going to look really good. They'll have nice color. The glaze turns to glass, so you get a really nice finish on your piece. All right. I think that's all we need to cover for now. Thank you for watching, and happy pottering.